Welcome back to Like-Minded Opinion. Glad that you're here. If you're driving your car or you're listening to this waiting for a root canal, welcome, and I'm happy that you stopped by. Today is mostly another Canadian thing, but we start off with President Biden, and it says in our article that President Biden is making waves by enabling pardons for individuals convicted of marijuana possession on federal lands. This decision is a significant step forward in the ongoing discussions surrounding drug policy reform. So we wonder how this move unfolds and its potential impact. It didn't really say the details. So is this people that got caught with a joint for personal use and it's their first offense, or is this what details are, I don't know. Is this like somebody with a pound of marijuana or 2 pounds of marijuana with the intent of distributing? I'll get it out. Is that trafficking? Is that what it is? So we don't know. Now, he also said that he was probably going to give out 11 pardons to convicted criminals. Now, again, they didn't really say what that was either. Was it for just the marijuana, with larger amounts, or so it's hard to say with this guy, but I think it's going to be coming out more and more in the next few weeks. I think a little more information. Up in Canada, the Royal Bank is taking over HSBC. Now, HSBC is Hong Kong and Shanghai banking. It is a pretty large bank. Apparently, they got like 730,000 customers. So the Royal Bank, if I'm right, is one of the biggest or the biggest in Canada. And so they are taking over. Now, people of opposition and other groups, they are concerned. They're saying, well, this could be a problem for customers. It could be a problem for the public when it comes to competition, because if you're taking out competition, the chances are if you are the biggest and you're gobbling up others, then if you control most of that part of the industry, you will control rates, mortgage rates, and so on. Is that a legitimate concern? Personally, I think it is. I do. I think it can be a potential. And if you are, say you're kind of influenced by the government, you may, who knows what could happen. You could be used as a leverage for many different things, in my opinion. So we see more about that. The deal was about 14 billion. Some say it was 14.5. Some say it was 15 billion. Now, the Canadian government said that they assure the public, honestly, because we know how honest the Canadian government is up there. Trudeau is the leader of their government, and I don't think he knows how to tell a lie. And if you can't spot sarcasm, then I don't know what else to say. But anyway, the government up there is saying that they assure the public that the competition is not going to be affected, and the government just needs to put it across the right-hand woman up there, Chrystia Freeland, and she's going to probably more than likely rubber stamp it with a big YES. Give me my money, and and we'll be on our way. Again, the housing market in Toronto, Canada, is been in the news because Trudeau, the Prime Minister, is saying and bragging that he's giving them $471 million. to build some housing, which people are saying, oh, that's interesting. You're going to build 12,000 new units, which they call the houses. You're going to build 12,000 new units. And just a little while ago, you were telling people when they were saying, hey, we're getting a problem with the housing. We don't have housing. We don't have, like, and you're saying, well, that's not the federal's problem. The federal government do not get involved in housing ever. So now you're bragging and taking credit for doing just that, investing, which I always giggle like a little schoolgirl, because when the government says we're investing, where do you get the money? I mean, the people is investing, whether they have a say or not. But anyway, it's for a good cause, if you want to say it that way. But there's many other things that needs to be done first. Who's getting the houses? You can't be saying that you're bringing in 500,000 into a little country up there, 500,000 immigrants a year, and many say it's much more than that. That's just the legal ones. So, I mean, if you're bringing in 500,000 a year immigrants, plus you already have a problem with housing, and people just can't find lodging, basically, is that really going to make a difference? Not at all, because yeah, I mean, we all need a place to live and to lie down, right? So people say it's not going to help unless you stop bringing in so many people, for a while, until we get a handle on this. And I'm going to say I would agree with that, and a lot of other people would too. Um, in the article, I think it was CBC. It's saying that the slow vaccine uptake is the reason for respiratory problems and issues. They're saying they got a big increase in kids and young adults with respiratory problems, and emergency rooms are being overflowed. And, this is not me saying this. This is what I read in different things. And where have we heard that before? We've heard that type of language, that type of wording before. I'm not saying that it's not true either, but it's something to be mindful of. And they're saying that it's because people are not taking the boosters and the shots for the flu and COVID vaccine. So a lot of people have decided that they're not going to do it anymore. So they're saying that that is the reason why this increase in illnesses. And they're saying that, they had another article or saying, are you going to be sick for the holidays? Is everyone going to be sick? I think the exact quote is everyone getting sick for the holidays? With a question mark. Who puts a statement like that? Who asks a question like that in an article? It is designed to get people remembering and stirring up emotion, and that's all I'm going to say on it. But they did say that there's a big increase, and they said that you should be thinking about your family, your friends when you're getting together for the holidays, and you will be protecting your own health and that of your friends and family. Again, where did we see this before? Again, Canada is saying that, hey, if you're on a track, might as well stay on it, right? So here, Canada, we're here to stay. But Canada is saying that when it comes to electric vehicles, they're going to take the wheel, and they're going to have it mostly 100%, I think, or some 70% by 2035. All vehicles will be electric vehicles. Now, that don't mean they're going to I put it this way. They're aiming right now for any new car that's sold will be an electric vehicle by 2035. Many have voiced their opinion on this. Danielle Smith of Alberta province in Ontario, province in Canada, oil-based industry. But she was saying that she talked to manufacturers, and the manufacturers were saying that if you want a vehicle in Canada, you better, buy one now, because even though they're not, by 2035 is the goal, everything has got to lead up there, so they got to start now. And really, you're going to be rationed when it comes to vehicles. If now here in Canada, a lot of people waited 18 months to get a vehicle, and that's right now, in the past year. So it's going to get a lot worse, according to Danielle Smith. In Canada, in Toronto at the Eaton Centre, there was pro-Hamas protest, and they're all over the country. And but this one was at the mall, and the kids were, on Santa's lap, lining up and trying to get pictures with Santa and stuff like that. So they were there, amongst the children and disrupting that, scenario. And also on video, they're telling people, we're going to hurt you if you voice your opinion for pro-Israel, blah, blah, blah. And on a camera, somebody had a video of one of them that's masked. It looks like they're talking directly to a police officer. And he said, "I'll put you 6 feet under." Now, this is, police and security guard. They just didn't do anything. Not a thing. Didn't even say, hey, watch yourself, or nothing. Didn't even comment. And I know a lot of people on the internet is saying, they show a video during the truckers convoy, and there's an old man there, and the cops are roughing him up because he honked the horn. And here's, you got, pro Hamas supporters saying things like this, and you do nothing. So when people see that, it's going to start making people think a certain way that probably they didn't think it anyway. Because, I didn't mention this article because of any pro or anti Hamas or Israel. It's just the fact that a country can't tolerate that type of activity, right? Because it's only going to cause trouble. Anyway, now you might say, don't everybody got a right to protest? Yeah, but you don't have a right to tell somebody that you're going to kill them. That is not your right. That person has a right to go about his or her business without being told and threatened. So that's all I'll say on that. Also, there's another thing in Canada, that's the housing crisis. Now, in the States, we have, problems as well. But up in Canada, in the Parliament, they had a committee looking into this. And they're saying that active members of the military are experiencing a, quote, epidemic of homelessness in Nova Scotia. Now, Nova Scotia is an eastern province of Canada. And now some is reporting to be living in their cars and couch surfing for shelter. Others are not taking assignments in that province because housing is so unaffordable, unavailable, and unattainable. And according to the testimony heard in that committee by provincial MLAs on, well, that was on a Tuesday. Now, according to Saltwire, it's a newspaper, a legislative standing committee invited representatives from groups that provide services to the Canadian Armed Forces and their members, and they wanted to have them give their testimony, if you will, of what they have come to learn about that problem. And the executive director of the Roman Canadian Legion of Nova Scotia and Nunavut, Commander Craig Hood, he said that, yes, it is true, and he heard, quote, startling stories of military members living rough, as he called it, in tents, in their vehicles, and couch surfing. Now, he said, according to Hood, some have entered into relationships where they experience domestic violence in order to have a place to sleep. Now, if that's not a problem, this is in the Canadian military, active members in the military. And if anybody don't see a problem with that, housing is a problem for anybody, okay? But when you have the military employed by the government and they don't have a place to lay down, I think that's a problem for sure. What else did we have? Yeah, regarding I just want to say about the electric vehicles in Canada. They're saying they had a segment on the news in the province of Newfoundland, and that's the Far East province of Canada. And they had a segment, I do believe, I seen a clip on the internet. I think it's NTV is the news station there. And they had a segment that they were saying that Newfoundland is going to probably have brownouts because if it gets cooler, people is going to have to start turning their heat on more. And since the government initiative to go to heat pump and electric heat, electric heat a few years ago, the government done a big push to have people get off of oil heat and wood heat and switch over to electric heat. So with that addition to the system, they said that they could have brownouts. Now, they didn't describe why they might have brownouts. They did touch on, I think, one of the things is offline for a year or two. Now, I thought that was funny because we were talking about electric vehicles a few minutes ago, and you're telling people that you're just going to be, pushing electric vehicles. And this is not just Newfoundland. This is all over Canada, that they really don't have the infrastructure to push something through that fast. So I thought that was interesting. You're telling people in one breath that you're going to be, pushing electric vehicles, and the next is we don't have enough hydro for you right now, let alone adding on. So anyway, folks, I hope that this was somewhat entertaining to you. Next week, hopefully, there's always usually something that we can talk about, but see you next week, and God bless.